Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, and we are going to be reviewing a Lego set. And it's not just any Lego set. This is actually from the Bricklink Designer Program Series 1. This was one of 30,000 copies to ever be produced. And this is the old train engine shed designed by Maria, as you can see down at the bottom here. And it is set number 910033 with 2,331 pieces along with 6 minifigures. And without further ado, we are going to get started on this review right now. And so if you guys are not familiar with the Bricklink Designer Program, essentially what it is people like you and I can submit their own custom designs and it can get voted on by the people. And the top designs will get reviewed by Bricklink's team, and then they will choose 5 sets for each series. They've just done the votes for Series 7 of the Bricklink Designer Program, so they've already been chugging along for quite a bit now. But this is from Series 1. This was one of the original 5 submissions, and there are 4 others in the wave, but today we are focusing on this engine shed here. And the unboxing experience was pretty standard for a Lego set. All of the bags were in plastic as opposed to the paper that they had been promising for some time now. But standard plastic bags along with a sticker sheet as well as this card here. This card is easily the most different thing about the unboxing experience because you don't get an instruction manual, you only get this. And essentially what this is just a thank you card for the set. And then on the back here, as you can see, is a QR code to download the instructions. There are no physical instructions with this model. Unfortunately, you have to use the internet. And it's not the end of the world. I didn't have a problem using them, but it would have been nice to use paper instructions. But that is pretty much that. Now, as for the set itself here, we're going to do a quick spin around of it, and then we are going to start looking at all of the details and the figures and everything like that. And also, just to clarify, you do not need to buy this set in order to get access to the instructions. The instructions are for free on Bricklink's website, and so all of the past sets that have been created in the Bricklink Designer Program are on the website there, and so you can download those instructions and get the parts list for them as you see fit. All right, so we are gonna start by going around the exterior here, and I'll show you guys everything, and then we can take the roofs off and we can show you what is inside here. And so right away, you'll notice that there are 2 different track segments here. So there's one that actually goes into the shed, and then there's one siding on the side here. And this one on the side has these 2 side builds, which we will take a look at towards the end of the video. But I want to just show you guys what they look like on the tracks there. And as you can see, it uses the brown ties, and it doesn't actually use the standard RC track pieces. It uses the individual rail pieces here, like the Orient Express base used, along with other sets in that nature. Now this model here sits on 2 standard green base plates, the 32 by 32 base plates. It does not use bright green base plates, thankfully, so that was a very, very pleasant surprise. But as you can see now, the shed itself is quite large. It has these 2 big green doors on it, along with this water tower and the telephone pole on the side here, and I really like those details there. And there's also a little pallet on the bottom right here, as you can see, with some crates on it, as well as some foliage detail as well, along with this clock up here. This clock is a sticker. That doesn't bother me, but what does bother me, and I'll talk about my quirks with the set later, is that there's no sticker for the back. So that's unfortunate. I would have loved to have seen a sticker for that. That would have cost them an extra fraction of a penny, and I would have loved to have seen that clock sticker on both sides. Coming over this way, you can see that this side looks pretty similar to the other. However, there is a little bit of difference in detail here, but the general premise is the same. It's mostly medium nougat, dark orange, and reddish brown, along with the dark green windows and the white accents. And then that is pretty much that there. And you'll notice the stickered sections right in the window panes there. Those are stickers, and it has the little B, the Bricklink Designer Program logo. So that was a nice touch. The roof here is a nice black, but the difference in finish on the 8x16 tiles versus the 6x6 is not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. And then coming around to the back here, as you can see, there is a little expansion to the section here, And this is essentially a little office, and it has a bunch of teeny tiny little details in it, which are really hard to access if you are a huge figure like us. So that is unfortunate, but at least all of the details are there. And then around the back here is just a little path along with a fence and a gate. And then the buffers for the back of the siding here. And then there's a bunch of vines and a nice gutter here. That was a really nice build. And overall, this is a very, very nice exterior. But now with that being said, let's get up a little closer and I'll show you guys all of the details. All right, so getting up a little close here, you can start to see some more of the details here. These vines here are built up really, really nicely in here. There wasn't regular orange bracket used as opposed to the medium nougat or any other color. I thought that was kind of a strange choice, but you can't really see it from most angles, so it's not the end of the world. And then coming down here is just a little bit more detail along with the base of the water tower here, along with the telephone pole here, and most elements that you will see that have decorations on them in this set are stickers, except for these two right here. These are a 2x2 and a 1x2 printed tile respectively, and I think those look really, really nice, and I think those are very nice touches. And then moving our way up, you will see the telephone pole has incredible details on it, including all of these realistic details as well, and even a bird up at the top there that has made a nest, it seems. And these doors here have stickers on the front, and it actually uses garage door pieces that are kind of just sandwiched in there. And so you can open up each of these doors here to get a train inside. And it actually does fit a train, and I'll show you guys that in just a second here. But coming around this way, again, you'll see that pallet here. And then we already checked out this whole side here. But there is a little bit of extra detail down here along with the end of the fence. And then the wood paneling on the side is a really nice touch. And then coming around here, you'll see the roof has a little bit of foliage detail on it as well. And then this is a continuation of interior detail, which again, I will show you in just a second here. And then this is a very nice fence design. It's super simple, but it works great. And then you will see a couple of figures standing here, and they are on this path here that doesn't really go very far. I would have loved to have seen that extend over to the gate here, but it's not the end of the world. I think it looks fine. The water detail was a nice touch. And then there's a trash can as well as a dog. And then you can see a ramp here that goes up to the buffers. These are a beautiful design. I will probably be stealing this design for my own city layout because I think this looks great. And then you will notice an extra wheel up near the wall there, and it is actually connected to the wall instead of just resting there, which I think is a decently nice touch, so then you're not having things fall around. And then with that being said, we are pretty much back at the beginning here, and so without me talking too much, let's take the roof off of both sections, because that is a roof that is removable, as well as the gray piece there. So let me take those off and I'll show you guys what's inside. Okay, so this whole top section is one piece, and that just comes off like so. It is just connected with 4 studs, 2 on either side. And then this one is not held in with any studs. It is just held in with gravity. And then that is pretty much that there. And so now we have to get kind of high in order to look down in it, because it is quite tall. But as you can see, there is a lot going on here. So I'm going to try and break this down as best as I can. And so you'll notice a couple of things on the wall there, including a stickered element and a walkie-talkie. And then there's a bunch of different mini builds in here. There's a dresser and all different kinds of tools in here. And I'm not going to go through everything, but it was a very nice build to actually build up all of this stuff instead of having pre-molded things in here. And so you'll notice on the front on this side is a couple of helmets on the wall. That was a really clever use of pieces in order to make that happen. That was really cool. And then some more tools over here, and then a bunch of different things as well. I had talked about that wheel on the outside not moving because it's attached to the wall, and how I like that so much. But this does move around in here, and so that is kind of unfortunate. Whenever you move it around, it tends to want to move. But there is stuff in here. There's a gear on the one side, and on the other, if I can open it with one hand, it is a little wind-up piece, which is pretty cool. And then there is tools on either side hanging down from this. And this just rests in there, and it does like to move around, like I said, but it's not the end of the world. And then what you'll notice up top here is actually this crane This has a bunch of stickers on it. There are 3 stickers on this side, along with 3 stickers on the other side. And this just rests on these yellow tiles here, and it just rolls back and forth. And it rolls great. And not only does it roll back and forth, but it also, the red piece moves side to side, which was a really, really nice touch. The chain itself does not move up and down, but the fact that this is there is a very nice touch. And you'll even see a couple of brooms on the back wall as well. And then there is a door, and that door leads us out to here, which is a very cramped space, but it is quite nice. The 2x2 is a print as well as the white one down there. And then there's a cabinet here with a teapot on it. And then there's one of the figures in there, along with some more details like a log and then a little furnace in here. And I'm trying to get you guys some decent angles of it. There's a clock on the wall and also a rotary phone and a shelf. And so this was a very nice build. It was very nice because this was a lot of different techniques, and then this was a lot of different techniques when you compare it to this. So the build did not get stale at all. It was very, very nice. And there's even a little fan up here as well, just to help with ventilation in the place, and it does actually spin. So that's a very, very nice touch. But overall, there's not a lot going on in here just because you need to fit a train in here. And speaking of fitting a train in here, actually, you can lay a figure down underneath the train, and then the figure can actually work in this area. And I thought that was a really, really neat detail. But with that being said, let me go grab some different trains that I have in my collection, and I will put them in here to show you guys what it all looks like. Okay, so the first train that I tried here is the Orient Express. And as you can see, the locomotive and the tender together do not fit in here. But if you remove the tender, then the locomotive itself would fit. But it does stick out quite a bit here, as you can see. It goes right to the edge of the base plate, and it is even all the way up at the back here, and it's even touching that little mini build right there. And so that is kind of unfortunate, but you know, if it was to actually be able to fit the Orient Express, it would have to be larger and longer and more expensive. However, even LEGO's longest city trains typically do not have a problem in here. And as you can see, this one isn't even all the way back here. It has a couple extra studs to work with, and the doors can still close with no problem. So that is really nice. If you have a city train, or you have whether it's a cargo train or a passenger train, it will fit in here no problem. And even LEGO's 2013 Horizon Express fits in here as well, although it is quite a tight fit. As you can see, it is touching that mini build there, and the nose is touching the door as well. But it does fit, and it does work. The doors close, and so that is a very nice detail as well. This water tower does rotate, and it does kind of get in the way sometimes, but it's not the end of the world. You just have to remember to move it out before you open the doors. But that is what the engine shed looks like with some trains in it. And I'll even put the roof back on to show you guys that as well. As nice as the shed is, that is not the only thing that you get with the set. You do get a couple of other mini builds as well, including this little pump car here. This is a really, really nice thing, and the greatest part about it is that it actually works. You can actually attach figures to the handlebars here, and they can go up and down, and you can have this push along. There's no motor in this, obviously. It is far too small to have one, but this is a very, very nice touch to add to the set, and it even has these little lights on either end here, so that is really, really nice. I love this build. It was so simple to put together, but it turned out really, really nice. And then the other tiny little piece here is just this little cart here, which is even smaller. It's just on a 4x6 plate, and then there's a couple of barrels on here and an octane gas can, it looks like, and then there's a little handlebar on it, and that is pretty much that. So with that being said, let's take a look at the 6 figures that the set comes with. And so here are the 6 figures that come with the set. To my knowledge, these are not exclusive pieces in any way, but a lot of these pieces I've actually never had before, like this Octan torso, and I believe this guy's face print as well. And so those are just really nice pieces to add to my personal collection here. But as you can see, this one has a special leg mold, which is really cool to see, and the orange air tanks as well. And then this figure here, I still don't know what this accessory is, to be honest with you. So if you guys have any ideas as to what this is, drop a comment down below to let me know what you think. it can't be a camera, so I don't really know what it is. But this figure does have an alternate face here as well as a back print, which is pretty nice. And the dual molded legs here are a really nice touch, both on this figure as well as the one on the end. However, I'm just going to jump to the end here. This figure is my only gripe with the figures in the set because at least my copy of the legs here are extremely loose. And so every time you go to place the figure down, it feels like it wants to fall back. So that's just a production issue that has nothing to do with the actual figure. I think the figure itself is fine. And she does not have an alternate face, but she does have a back print. And then moving back to the order here, we have this worker here in a pair of overalls. And then the book here just has a list of things to do on it. Looks like a checklist, and most of it is already done. And then this older guy here has an apron on, and then this bucket with some water in it. And oddly enough, this last figure also has a bucket with water in it, but the bucket is a different color. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But he also has a piece of food here, as well as a flannel shirt and a mustache. And he does have, oh, he does not have an alternate face, but this is the face under that mustache there. So that is that. And the final figure, I guess, if you want to call it that, it's not really a figure, but the dog does come with the set. So you get 6 figures and a dog, which is pretty nice to see. While I have been giving this set a lot of praise throughout the video because I do think it does a lot of things well, some things that I personally am not the biggest fan of is the fact that it uses those individual rail pieces instead of the standard track here that clips together. Because in most people's layouts, they use this along with the standard curved track as well. And those do not clip in here. So you will have a gap, and then even if you have this on the edge of a different base plate, it is not going to work here. So that is something unfortunate. You will have to buy a third-party piece of track, this little segment that is a kind of joiner in between this and this style of rail. Or you can rip this out and just add your own RC track in. But then you also have to buy more track, and also you lose the play feature of laying the figures down in the shed itself. That's not the end of the world for me, but I know some people that will probably bother them. And also the tracks here are not centered on the base plate here. And so as you can see, this piece of ballast here goes all the way to the edge of the base plate, goes all the way to the corner, whereas this side leaves 4 studs open on the edge, whereas the standard Mills plating track that is modular is 2 studs away from each end of the base plate, and it is centered. But because of the shed's size and how the dimensions of it worked out, the designer needed to move it the 2 studs over in order to make everything work. And another thing that you might notice is that this side has the brown rail ties and this track does not. That was because in bag 2, you are supposed to add those ties in. However, when I opened the box, the bag 2 that I was given 2 separate bag 2s, which you are supposed to get. However, you're supposed to get one bag 2 that has all of these pieces in it, and then a bag 2 that has all of the other pieces in it, which includes different color masonry bricks, the brown rail ties, and other tiles and things as well. They sent me, in this copy of the model, they sent 2 of the same exact bag 2. So I am left with a bunch of 4x4 tiles, as well as some dark orange pieces and some bigger bricks and stuff like that, which to me is not the end of the world because I had all of the other pieces in my inventory, thankfully. But that was really annoying to have to spend 45 minutes going through my own collection, especially at the start of the set too. That really did not leave a good taste in my mouth, and it left me worried for most of the set because I was wondering if there was going to be another mistake. But thankfully there was not, despite the fact that bag 10, at least in my personal copy, was ripped open in shipping. So that was unfortunate, but all of the pieces were there except for one masonry brick, which I had in my collection, so that wasn't the end of the world. But once again, I feel the need to call this out because while I did thankfully have the pieces in my collection, leaving this and getting that bag 2 wrong was really unfortunate to see, but that is pretty much that there. Something else that I'm not a fan of is the lack of sticker for the back of the clock here. I really expected them to do that. They went the extra mile with literally everything else, and they couldn't have spent the extra fraction of a penny to get that sticker on there. That is really unfortunate to see. I understand that a clock facing this way is not the most useful thing in the world because it's not the front of the shed, it's the back. But even still, I think that would be really nice to at least have this sticker if people want to use it for something else. But my only other gripe with the model itself is that the area back here is extremely, extremely tight. It is really hard to get access into there. And so you saw me trying to get you guys a good view in there earlier. And even still, without a figure in there, it's hard to get your hands in order to place figures down and to actually see all of the details. And also, one other thing to note as well is that this awning here overhangs just a little bit over the edge of the base plate here. So if you're going to put this up against a wall, you have to keep the roof in mind as well, or you have to modify it in order to make it all fit. But overall, this is a very, very nice model. There is a lot of good stuff with it, and obviously no set is perfect, but the set itself was a joy to put together from start to finish, except for bag 2, just based on my own experience here. But your mileage will vary. Hopefully no one else has the problem of the same bag 2. That was hopefully just a fluke. But I did buy this from a Bricklink seller. I did not buy this directly from the crowdfunding window for the Bricklink Designer program. I spent a premium in order to get it on the secondhand market because I wanted it and I felt it would be a good addition to my own personal city here. And so that is what I did. I found it for a decent price and I went ahead and I purchased it. Now, this set retailed in the crowdfunding phase for $230. Now, do I think that is worth it? I think so. I think this compared to a modular building or like the medieval town square or something like that, I think that would be a pretty fair comparison because you're not only getting the standard modular building size, but you are also getting the train tracks. You're getting a lot of 8x16 plates and tiles. You're getting a lot of big pieces, and you're getting that second base plate as well. And there's also a lot of play features in this, despite this mostly being a display set. There is a decent amount of play features in here, and there is some value in that as well. So now the question remains, is this something that you should pick up on the secondhand market because you can't get it in stores anymore? Actually, you never could get it in stores. It was just the crowdfunding window, which was about 3 weeks long. So you had 3 weeks to make a choice and place your order, but this was one of the copies, one of the models that got sold out. So if you waited too long, then you would have not gotten it at all. And so is this something worth it that you should pick up on the secondhand market? I think it depends, to be honest with you. It's a beautiful model inside and out, but again, your mileage will vary based on the bag 2 that I got, as well as my ripped open bag 10. But I think this is a decent model here. The set has a lot of good qualities to it, and there wasn't a lot of stickers. There was a decent amount of prints in this set as well, and I think it is a really, really nice model. It has a lot going for it. There's exterior details, there's interior details, there's even play value with this as well, and there's display value with it. And I think the value for what you get here is decent, especially if you get it at a decent price like I did. And the extra pieces, I will just show you guys that really quick. There was quite a lot of them, and even the little poly bag of tools for minifigs, that was all extras as well. They only used one of the tools to add on to one of the mini builds. And so I thought that was interesting that they wouldn't just throw that in the chest or something like that. But overall, I think this is a very good model. And something else that I forgot to point out during my praise to the set was that actually, despite this not being on even distance away from each end of the base plate, if you take a standard switch track and you combine a straight and a curve on it, you can already see that this is the standard distance apart, which is very, very nice to see. And so if you're going to go ahead and modify this, it's not that difficult to do so because these tracks are the same distance apart as they should be when compared to standard Lego track and the modular system that most people use when taking train track seriously and going the extra mile and ballasting it to make it kind of look like that. And so with all of that being said, I think this was a very good model. I had a very fun experience putting this together, again, except for bag 2. But that's a production error. That is not a design error. Maria, who designed this set, really knocked it out of the park with this, and I was extremely impressed from start to finish. The details on it are simple but effective, and there are a lot of nice building techniques in it as well. And so I am extremely happy with this. And if you guys are too, make sure to drop a comment down below to let me know what you think. But this is going to wrap up today's video. I don't want to take too much of your guys' time. I just wanted to show you guys this set because there are only 30,000 copies of this in the world. And so with that being said, that is going to wrap up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like it and subscribe, as well as click the bell notification so you don't miss any future uploads. If you guys are excited to see me place this into the city, make sure to drop a comment down below to let me know what you think. And once again, seriously, thank you guys so much for watching, and a special thank you to Maria for going the extra mile and designing this set, and shout out to the Bricklink team for making this all happen. But once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.